Hello all, I am Advocate Jayashree, part-time lecturer at Institute of Sai. Now we will have a small demo on the paper 6 which deals with economic, commercial and business laws. In economic, commercial and business laws, in this paper, we have the foreign FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act. Then you have the Competition Act, Consumer Protection Act, legal metrology. Legal metrology deals with the standards and measurements. Whatever is the quantity, okay, how much it should be, where, because in some places when you go, I'm just giving you an overview of this paper, because when we are dealing with goods, there are certain standards of measurements. So, for example, I'll give you a simple example. When you go to the airport, you want to take a flight and go to some place, and they tell you, no, only so many kgs are allowed, not beyond that. So, you have to curtail your quantity of whatever you are taking, right? So, same thing when we are dealing with the goods in industries, then the law requires, there are certain requirements which have to be met in order to export and import, or local transit also, when we go from state to state or interstate, all these things come under the legal metrology. But then there is the Consumer Protection Act, which deals about the protection of consumers from any fraud or any cheating or any damaged goods, any services which have not been rendered. So the consumer gets the relief due to that. So that comes under the Consumer Protection Act. Of course, Foreign Exchange Management Act has a lot of features in it, which includes the Economic Offenders Act. I mean, a little bit of all those things. What comes under the foreign exchange? What are all necessary? What we should know if we are dealing with foreign exchange? So, what constitutes an offense? What is a foreign exchange? All these, how it can be done. So, dealing with FEMA, you have to simultaneously read about the Money Laundering Act also, right? So, Money Laundering Act means what? Money laundering means what? Laundering in money. It is an offense to launder in money. See, if we are transferring money in a legal fashion for a legal purpose, in a legal manner, then it is not money laundering. But even if there is a little bit of anything which is illegal in connected with the money which is procured, or the purpose for which the money is procured, or the way in which the money was procured. Say for example, someone has committed, I am just giving you an example, someone has committed a murder, okay, and the person is getting money for that murder. So in that case, it comes under the, of course we won't say purely money laundering is a crime, murder itself is a crime, but the money got through it comes under the, so any illegal transaction which is taking place. All of you would have heard about Hawala, right? Hawala transactions. So Hawala transactions is the main basis for which the Money Laundering Act came into force. Why? Because the currencies were exchanged in such a manner between country to country, in such a manner that it was difficult to it was difficult to control the inflow of money and the money which is going out of the country in an illegal manner. Therefore, there were a lot of problems such as inflation, such as getting the money which was there was too much to handle. But there was no appropriate procedure for the transfer of the money, which led to currencies being misused by various countries. Of course, including India, by many various countries. Therefore, the Money Laundering Act came into force. So, when we are talking about Money Laundering Act, you should also know about the FEMA, because mainly the Money Laundering Act and FEMA go together. Okay, and then next we have the law relating to, of course, we have the intellectual property rights, in which we will be reading about the law relating to patents and trademarks. And one more thing which we will be reading about, many more of course, but one more which I would like to speak about is the competition law. Now, why is competition law important for a CS student? Is because you should know whether your company is competing lawfully against the other company. Okay, because otherwise again it will become an offense if there is a misguided competition. Okay, competition means like if there is a monopoly or there is some restrictive trade practices and all that. Earlier it was known as MRTP Act, Monopoly and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. That is prevention, but it was known as MRTP Act. But later it has been renamed as competition law. Okay, so it is not, why? Because it is not just the monopoly and restrictive trade practices, but when the MNCs started coming in and corporates became bigger corporates, and even Indian companies became multinational companies, there was a lot of unlawful competition going on among the companies. Each one were vying with the other to come up, and some companies used the wrong way of coming up. So, in order to curtail that, in order to control that, we have the competition law. So, same way, similarly, we have quite a few such laws in this paper, which will be very interesting to read, and through which you will gain a lot of knowledge about how law framework works for CS. Okay, so we will meet in the class and we will discuss a lot more. Thank you.